you ready to discover who you came here to be? Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. Human Design is a system and a tool that is here to empower you and show you your greatest potential. Come learn with us and discover who you really are. Hi friends, Crystal here. Before we dive into this episode, I wanted to jump on here real quick and let you know about a few of our offers. We don't just do transits on here, and we don't just interview people. We also have deeper ways for you to connect to yourself as well as others. Our first offer is actually completely free. It's our free guide to honoring your strategy and authority and tips and tricks to do so. If you struggle with this place, if you struggle with what your authority is, if you're still confused about your type, I highly suggest picking up this free guide. We also have our manual to your true self. If you struggle with the languaging behind human design, if you don't understand the parts of the body graph or how to read your chart, I highly recommend picking up our manual to your true self. We go through all the key terms and ways to integrate this information. Let's move on to our classes. We have a bunch of classes that we just launched that are all connected to the variables. The variables are connected to the 4 transformations. So this is your unique path to your true self. And our first class is actually our determination class. And this class is helping you understand the way in which you eat. It shows you the correct environment for you to eat in, and also the way in which you take in information. Our next class is our cognition class that is also connected to the brain, and it helps you understand the way your body interprets frequency. It is your unique super sense that aligns your vehicle. And our third class, we actually just launched. We're super excited about it, and it's our environments class. This class helps you understand how your unique vehicle aligns to your outside world. It shows you the correct people that you might connect to in your correct environment. It shows you your true success. Now, after you go through these classes, if you're feeling like you need a little bit of extra support, if you're feeling like you want to understand how to decondition at a deeper level, if you're looking for community, I highly suggest checking out our human design support group. We have a bunch of differentiated folks in there that are going through the same process as you. We have 2 Zoom calls a month, and we also have a community page where you can ask any questions about your design or just simply share what you're going through. Now, our last offer is our 2022 forecast for the year. We go through all of the key players of what's going on for 2022 through the lens of human design, astrology, and tarot. If any of these offers sound riveting to you, I highly suggest picking them up. You can check them out in our descriptions of our show notes down below. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing out there in the
in the world?
in the world, in the universe? I was like, what words should I use today? I don't know. I have no idea what words to use today. It's been an interesting day for me, but you seem to have a fun day. So let's hear about your day, because it seems like a peak for you. I feel like I'm having a pit day. This will be my pit.
Oh. Well, I actually took like a self-care kind of day. I unplugged from everything while I was on social media. I was sharing my day somewhat on social media.
I saw you as you were ignoring my texts. I saw
you were asking me questions I couldn't answer while I was
I know,
on my
but
phone.
I like to joke about my
I was
open
like,
book.
I'll get back to her. And then my Aquarius self is like, I'll see this, but I can't get back to her right now. But I never responded saying like, I'll get back to you. I just didn't
Yeah.
say anything at all because, that really helps a lot with your pit of despair.
Yeah.
Um, so sorry.
My core wound of rejection, it felt
Mm,
quite
no.
yummy. But I but I knew that, I know that you're never like actively, I guess you were actively ignoring me, but like not in a malicious way, I guess I
No,
should
it
say.
wasn't. No, I decided yesterday, I was like, you know what? I think I need to get out of my house
No.
because I, I clean houses and the side of doing our human design stuff, and I have them booked every other week. So this week was kind of like a week off. Plus, we have April break in Maine next week. So like I'm prepping myself mentally for my kids to be home.
But what happened to your
You
life
just
there?
went, yeah, you just went away.
That was so okay. Now I'm just
You're very,
now I'm
you're
just
very.
like permanently. Oh, there.
Oh,
That was so weird. All right, computer. I've
don't
had
move.
enough for today, okay? I've had
Don't
enough.
move.
I've had enough. Anyways, I apologize for the computer rudely interrupting
You
you.
like you disappeared though. I was like done telling my story. Um, so I decided yesterday I'm gonna go out of the house and there's this little town called Portsmouth that's like 15 minutes from me. I'm gonna go over there and like go in the crystal shop and I'm gonna go like walk around by myself without kids. And so I did. I went over to a few crystal shops and shopped around and got some stuff. I got this. You guys will see it on YouTube. Hold on, awkward. It's a amber
Oh,
bracelet,
wow.
and I used amber on both of my kids for teething. I used the
I do.
necklace
I still
on
have
them.
Otis's necklace. My husband keeps
Yeah,
asking me. Dave's like, "When are you gonna take this thing off?" I'm like,
never.
Until he grows out,
Yeah, it's
and
the
then
best.
I'll put on
So
his ankle."
I saw the bracelet and I was like, oh, maybe I could use this for my shoulder because I don't know, like something's got to work at this point. So I got that, and then I got the girls some crystals that I haven't given them yet. I think I'm gonna put them in
Their
a
Easter
baggie or
basket.
something. Yeah, maybe their Easter basket as like a little gift.
Did I
And
inspire you yesterday with?
yeah. Well, and like, so backstory for everybody else. My youngest is an emotional projector, and she's got two emotional waves. And Crystal and I were talking about like how she basically has the hard time of meltdowns, pretty much. I mean, she's always been a very emotional child. She cried for like 4 months out of her life
Yeah.
straight, and she's always had like these hard times with things, and sometimes we're in the car and she just like cannot stop. She can't turn that switch off. She's like stuck on the top of the roller coaster upside down screaming, and like I'm like climbing my way up to like get on the ride with her. And so Crystal said to go to like to find a shop or something to get her some crystals to play with while that's happening, and that could be a little bit helpful, calming,
Also for her external vision, like
and external vision.
have something to focus on. She's kitchen's
Hmm.
environment, help alchemize her energy a little bit.
Yeah,
It's like a little mini. I feel like crystals are like little mini kitchens to
they
like
are.
travel with.
Yeah.
I used to bring them to when I did weddings, and I would like pull them out in the middle of the way. I'd be like, "These are my crystals," and everyone would be like, "Oh, should I carry crystals?" I was like, "Yes," and I'm like, "This
Yeah.
one's for this, and this one's for this," and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to get crystals."
Yeah.
All these people went and got crystals afterwards, but
They're
it's
so helpful.
they really are. I
And
put them in
especially
my
if
bra.
you're right, especially if you're like in a stressful situation, or it's not really like uh I don't know. I mean they're just cool because like they are pretty and they come from the earth, and like kids love things that are rocks. Like in general, they could love a rock from the driveway just as much as the
It's
$9
true.
rock that I bought.
It's true. It's
But
true.
these ones are kind of like they have more of a meaning behind them. And then
Well,
the
there's an
lady was
energy
really,
to them.
yeah,
Like,
so
I
the
don't,
lady
do
was
you
helpful too.
feel, okay, quick question. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I keep interrupting you, but I got to ask this one. Do you feel energy when you walk into a crystal shop, or you don't
Yeah,
feel it? You do feel. Okay.
yeah.
Because for me, it's like really intense.
My
Sometimes I'll
fir-
get a
my
headache.
my very first time in a crystal shop, I was kind of spinny and lightheaded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll do that
Then
to you.
now not so much, but I don't really touch everything either. I used to touch
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So she was super nice. The lady was helpful. I got a couple. I can't remember what the names are. I could share them in my stories on
Yeah. I want
Instagram
to see them.
later. Um, and what else? I did just some browsing. I got the one thing for myself, and then I got a bunch of stuff for my kids, which always happens.
Yep.
But I had a lot of fun time alone, and I went into stores and I talked to people. Oh, this was really random, and I wasn't sure like how people would receive this on Instagram, so I felt like maybe I need to say it. So I'm walking down this, it's like the sidewalk or whatever, and there's a guy sitting on a stoop, and he's got like a sign, and I didn't really look at him, but I was walking by, and he was like, "Excuse me, miss, you dropped something," and I was like, "What?" And all I had was a paper bag in my hand. I'm like, how could I have dropped something? And he's like, you dropped your smile. And I was like, I
Hi.
was like, well, that worked because I laughed. And then I was
Well,
like,
yeah.
have a good day. And I kept walking. I was like, is that weird? What was happening there? And
Did he
he
want
was
some
very
money?
proud of himself. No, he didn't want anything. He was just telling people to smile.
That's kind of
Like, and
nice.
I never read his
That
sign.
seems like it. That seems like innocent, like an innocence motivation right
Yeah,
there.
he was just sitting there like, you dropped your, like, you noticed that someone wasn't smiling. He's like, you dropped your
Yeah.
smile, like, make your day. And he had this biggest, like, happiest smile on his face. It was very, I was like, that was really nice and also
Yeah.
kind of awkward. But I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. I have a lot of people that say weird things to me when I'm out in public, especially like a little bit of older people that see like my tattoos. There's
Mm.
usually like I've had people say, you've got an outbreak on the back of your arm there because of my left
Because
my
your lip,
my
your,
leopard spots,
yeah.
my manifester, my wannabe manifester tramp stamp.
I
Well, I
don't know
guess
why
it's not a
people,
tramp stamp
it's
because
not,
it's
it's on your
not.
arm. I just don't understand. Some people, it's filter's not there. So it's,
Yeah. I
but
mean, I
it's not
don't
like,
really
it's the
have a
kind of,
filter,
but it's
I
the kind of
won't
stuff
do it
that's
to a
like, is that
stranger.
appropriate to say to people? Yeah, there's,
But I
I feel
think
like,
but that what he said to you wasn't so
no,
bad. But I
I
do have
didn't,
people say really weird things to me.
yeah. I feel like parents get that a lot too when you're like, oh, like I have a redhead. They're like, where'd her red hair come from? I'm like, her
Oh,
head. I don't know.
the father,
The
the
milkman.
Baja,
I'm just kidding.
the milkman.
Somebody
I
in the
would,
family.
I would, I would make a weird joke like that to somebody. I'd be like,
Yeah.
that's my trainer.
I think the only thing I've probably ever said was like her hair, her head, like the top of her head. I don't really know. What kind of answer do you want me to give you?
Well,
Like,
you're also a projector. Like I
I'm
come up
supposed
with
to know.
really witty responses on the fly. Like if you want
Uh-huh.
someone for that, I'm your girl. I will come up with
Yep.
some I'll make you feel more awkward than whatever you said to me.
Yeah. Garrett will too. Garrett will too. And he'll come up with it and he would be like, he'll think he's so funny.
Yeah.
And I will come up with it like an hour later. I'm like, dang, I should have said that. But it's already gone. Like,
The
it's you
non-sacral.
can't.
You're like,
Yeah, I'm
damn
like,
it.
dang it.
My
My
sacral
pre
just kicked in 3 hours later.
my pre my preheat button was just started there and it wasn't gonna happen.
You didn't tell me I needed to preheat.
Dang it.
Always preheat before you leave the house, projectors and
I
reflectors and manifestors. Preheat before you leave the house. And if you don't know what we're talking about, then you need to stick around here. Welcome if you're new. Welcome to all the newbies that just found this. I don't know how you found us, but we love that you're here. And this is a podcast. We also have, you know, other things we provide you, not just a podcast. We also have classes, but this is a place that is a safe space for you to be your weirdo. If you haven't guessed yet, I mean, if you've been listening to this conversation, clearly we're a bunch of weirdos, right?
mm,
So that's what you get on here. Just two weirdos shooting the shit on human design, astrology, and tarot. We do some interviews sometimes. We do have some educational episodes on here as well. We try to we try to keep it weird as we can get. This is if you're looking for, I guess, like the direction that we're heading in. If you're looking for the racks of the sleeping phoenix, It's over here. We're not, neither one of us are a Rax of the Sleeping Phoenix, but
No.
we do we do we do have a couple of the gates though. Okay, hold on. Let's talk. Can we talk children, human design on here for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. So Leah and I both have kids. I've been in my ex room for 5 years. Leah, you've been in how long?
It's like two now.
Two,
Two,
yeah,
two and a half.
somewhere around two. And so Leah's like, I need a little guidance. Give me your desire motivation on what to do with my emotional child. And I'm like, okay, and this is where, and we're most likely going to do a class on this, guys. I know a lot of you have asked about kids classes and information on kids and human design. So it's coming. It's in the works. But so I like when people ask me, and I've read for children, and I don't talk about it a whole lot or advertise it, but it is something that I enjoy doing because I do have children myself. And I believe this system is for the children after all.
Mm.
So in these situations, I like to look at their variables to start because that's usually your almost like the steps you need to take to get them back to neutral. Because I feel like the four transformations bring you back into alignment, right? Put you
Hmm.
back on the path of purpose, where you need to go. It's where you feel the most whole, right? So I'm like, okay, she's calm determination, kitchen's environment, external vision, and um what's her motivation again?
I think she's desire too.
Is she desire? What's
I'm
her,
pretty sure.
but is she want, what is her view?
Uh,
But
stand by.
anyways, so while she's looking that up, so I'm like, okay, you got to start at the beginning. So calm determination. Calm determination people, we really need to have that space. It's really important that especially when things are feeling overwhelming. I mean, I have an open solar plexus, but it's a similar process where I think both emotionals and non-emotionals need to have this open space for them to go to when they're feeling either overwhelmed or they need to eat or take in information. They really just need to make sure they're taking that space throughout their day. And for her, I feel like because she's also kitchen's environment and she's emotional, that she needs to have this safe space that she can create in, so that she always, when she's feeling overwhelmed with her emotions, and it's a conversation that you have to have with your children, especially emotionals, there's no regulating that. And so what you're here to do is guide them into that neutral zone. And it's not always going to be easy, and sometimes they're going to have to go and be, like for her, she might have to take some more time, a little more time than maybe like you want her to, or even she wants to. But her having this like neutral zone that she can go into to allow herself to express herself, to allow herself to go through the emotions, but to have this creative space, because kitchens is really about creation, to come back to their body. Because what's happening on the environment side is it's connected to your body, right? So you're trying to bring her back into her body so that she can allow those emotions to actually move through her and work through her. So then I said, external vision crystals, like our little mini kitchen, is what we just said. So I'm like, have her have these crystals in this space, create this nice safe space for her, but also have somewhere she can take with her for when she's having those moments, or especially when you're in the car and there's literally nothing you can do. She can pull it out and she can look at it, she can feel it. And I think when you do things like that, especially when you use your cognition, because your cognition is really like fine tuning your frequency, right?
Hmm.
So if she can allow herself to fine tune her frequency, have tools that are going to bring her back to herself and let her release them. Maybe have like a crystal that's really going to help push that wave to that next level, even if it
Yeah.
feels stressful for both of you. You have to get it out.
Right. And I know she does. Like, she definitely, you can tell when she's getting to that point of like, I'm about to pop my top because
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
angry, but I haven't let it out yet. And
Mm-hmm.
then she lets out like the first just scream or something. I'm like, okay, there it is. Like, now we've reached the phase of like, this is the max level. How
Yeah.
long that's going to last depends on where we are. So I think
Yeah.
that will
But I
be
think her
helpful. So
having these
she's,
tools and the space, especially that she can
Yeah.
go to, have her alone time, be in this like receptive creative energy through her
Hmm.
body, right? Is she dry or wet kitchens?
She's dry kitchens, and
Yeah.
she's also, you said view before, she's probability.
Okay. All right. So she needs to factor a lot of things out. She
Yeah.
needs to do that like list. I feel like probability people really need to have those lists of, okay, what's the potential, like almost like what's the potential here?
Hmm.
That's what they're looking for, is potential probability people.
Yeah.
So,
And she is only 5, so there's so much of this
yeah,
that's like her development, you know?
right.
So there's just so much, and like, so I feel like we have this ability to kind of nurture them for their true self and their
Yeah.
chart,
It's an
rather than
opportunity for you.
like, you need to do that and you need to do this, because like we're going to take that with us forever. That's what we're doing. That's what we are doing as adults. We're deconditioning from all the, ancestral stuff that we've learned over time. So for us to be able to kind of nurture them for who they are is so powerful, so that they don't have to do all of this hard work that we're doing now.
Right. And I feel like that's what a lot of this next week is going to be about, is working through like some trauma. There's a
Mm,
potential to work through a lot of trauma with a couple of the channels that I saw that are going to be running through, especially towards the beginning of the week, end of this week. We're recording early, guys. So end of this week and beginning of next. Um, and it's like, we have to have like, being born is trauma, like we have
yeah,
to have trauma. Like some people get like hung up on that word, and I use it because I feel like trauma, comes in a variety. It's a spectrum. Like there's like little t trauma and big T trauma, but we've all experienced trauma. I mean, we just went through a global trauma.
yeah,
So it's like, do you want to allow yourself to continue to carry these bags? Because it's all pressurized from the root. This trauma is built from the root, right? And if you look at the 360, for example, which is coming in, or is it in? Wait, it's not in yet. I gotta look.
I
I
don't
know,
know.
well, one of them's in for sure, because that one's in hold on before I say the wrong thing here. Yeah, it's in Pluto. 60 is
So
in
that
Pluto. Yeah,
that one's
yeah.
root to sacral, right?
Root to sacral. Yeah. So
Okay.
the three's coming in to the sun. So I don't know what I just did to my hair. The three's coming into the sun. Why did I do that? And it's gonna really pressurize us to look at it look at some past, either it can even be past life stuff. I mean, roots working from past life, childhood, right? So if you look at all
Yeah.
those pressurized gates and channels, there's a lot of deep workings in there. And this is in Kabbalah called Malchut. Malchut. Sorry, my is not it's not on point anymore. It used to be really I used to have when I used to have to read Hebrew in Hebrew school, I'd be like sound like
Yeah.
Donald Duck. Um am I allowed to make fun of my people? I don't. Is that all right?
I mean, I don't know how to speak any of it, so I'm just
Yeah.
interested in what you just said.
Yeah.
So say it again. It's
Malchut. Malchut.
malchut.
Malchut. Yeah, I got it back.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. So that's all part of the material world
Hmm.
in the root, and you know,
Like working
our
its way up, right?
working its
That's
way
what
up.
that
Yeah,
is.
it's all the tree of life. I look at it as, and one day we'll do a whole thing on this. But the tree of life, I look at it as like we're in a game. And each center, each channel really is a level. So you're rising up. You're starting at the ground level, the seed level, right? You're developing. It's a development of the 10 emanations. It's you're growing into this higher consciousness, and where you're really trying to reach is the G center. It's not even that you're trying to reach the ajna or the head, because that's completely above you. That part of us is like connected to the cosmos. Like you're really trying to reach the G center, because that's where our soul is. And
Yeah.
that's what's driving this vehicle in the magnetic monopole. And if you're
That's
like,
so
what
cool.
in the world are you talking about? We do have we do have a manual. If you're like, I really want to understand what all the centers are, what the language behind, if you heard magnetic monopole and you're like, I don't even know what that is, we do have a manual. It's only $33. We try to make all of our classes and the products that we put out to be accessible, because we know that, one, there's so much information on the internet now about human design. It's like there used to be nothing. It's like when I used to search, that's why I got all these classes and stuff and took all these courses, because one, I could not find it on the internet even if I tried. But now it's so convoluted and so watered down that it's like not even human design anymore with a lot of the stuff, or it's incorrect. And there's, people's interpretations. I try not to knock too much on them, because we're entitled to our own view. Whether I guess even if it's not correct, we're entitled to our own view.
And
Um,
source information is so dense and
it
hard
is,
to
it
understand
is.
sometimes. If you hear it and you're like, this isn't happening for me. It's how are you going to learn if you don't
Right.
understand it?
So my suggestion in that case, that's a good point that you brought up. But my suggestion would be to go to somebody that um, got their information from source material. Like for
Hmm.
us, for example, for us, come to us, because everything that I provide for us in our classes is all from source material. And I'll
Hmm.
go through it over and over and over again. And I'm doing it right now as we're preparing our view and motivation class. I'm like back in the books, back in the classes. And it's raw. He speaks in riddles, man. I mean, the I Ching is a fucking riddle in itself, right? We were just reading
Right.
the I Ching before we got on here. And I mean, of course, you need to have a Riddler. You need to find and I consider myself to be a Riddler. I used to be really good at Shakespeare for some reason, interpreting Shakespeare, which I think is
Mhm.
all, the energy is kind of similar there. It's like, what in the world were these people talking about? And I always, for whatever reason, in English class, I always did really well whenever we talked about these really complex stories and books and
Mhm.
plays and whatever they were. I always got it right too. They were always like, yes, that's a really creative, unique perspective, Crystal, that you have there. But it's accurate. We like the way you interpreted that. Because I feel like for me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, or you can, or however you feel. I'm not going to put any words in your mouth, but I feel like for me, I'm still keeping the foundation, because I'm a 1-3. Like when I interpret this
Mhm.
information, I'm still keeping the foundation. And even if I, put a little spin on it, I will share the foundational information so that you can hear my interpretation through the foundation.
Yeah. And you kind of piece it together because sometimes he gets on tangents
Oh
and
yeah.
he starts on one topic, and then you're like, I thought we were talking about another thing. So you kind of pull things back together and put them more in line
Yeah.
in different ways, which is helpful because, yeah, like I said,
You get
what?
overwhelmed. You're
I
always
do.
like,
I
you
try really
just
hard
can't
to
do
like
it.
read his stuff
It's
and like
okay
listen
that,
to his stuff. I can read like some of the other books that have come out that are like, he worked with those people creating those books. Like I'm good with those kind of things, but sometimes it's so dense that I have a hard time. I'm right brain too. So it
yes, you
takes
don't
me
even know
a
what you
long
know
time.
sometimes.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because I was talking with somebody, I was like, it's so interesting how much more I understand now after, and I'm not even like doing readings, but I understand stuff so much better now than I did
Well,
when
because
I
we're
was doing
having
readings.
conversations about it, and you're also
Yeah.
you're almost learning as you're putting all of our
Yeah.
workbooks and guidebooks together.
Mm-hmm.
You're learning
Oh,
with
absolutely.
you're learning with the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you had this information before, but it's like one. I feel like human design comes in like in like layers and like different segments. Like you get the first segment that's like the very very surface basic stuff, and you're like, okay, so I'm a generator. All right, I'm a generator. I respond. Still, I feel like I respond to everything. This is like where I was. I was like, I feel like I literally respond to literally everything that I don't know what you're talking about. And so
Yeah.
then I had to just start watching myself. And I noticed that the easiest way that I could understand what response was like was through music. Like I
Mm.
would put on, for the generators out there, I would put on a playlist like on like Spotify or something. Okay. And every time I heard a song that my sacral was like, fuck no, I would be like, no. And I would skip it. But then I would be like, what did that just feel like? Hold on. Hold on. Like, hold on, body. Wait. Wait. Okay. Do it again. No. Okay. No, that was a really, okay. That, that was like a restriction. Like I could feel myself moving backwards.
Yeah. Pull
And
away
for,
from it.
yeah, and for each generator, it's going to be kind of a different feeling. And I think it also depends on, like, I'm a splenic generator, right? I have a defined spleen and a defined sacral. Nobody talks about the splenic generators, but we exist, okay? Like, what's even harder is if you have a defined spleen. Whenever I read for people that have defined spleens, defined sacrals, and a defined solar plexus, they're like, I don't know what I'm responding to. Those are the
Mm-hmm.
generators that are like, because there's too many voices talking down there
Yeah.
and they're too
That's tough.
close because
Mm.
and like the solar plexus, you can kind of understand that I feel like, emotionals, they really understand that they really can't just make decisions. But like when the spleen and the sacral are defined, they both operate in the now.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, because I have a defined spleen and defined sacral, it's like both need to be on the same page at the same time. It's interesting for me, and like, different generators that have their spleen defined, depending on what gates and channels they have, it's going to be a little different, obviously. But I believe my spleen is smarter than my sacral. If And I don't know if anyone's going to be like, you are incorrect, but you're not me. So I
It's
I
all a
feel like,
personal experience.
yeah, I feel like also because my south node is connected to my spleen, that there's this wisdom there for me. This is what I've noticed for myself. That the spleen usually talks first. And for sometimes it could be months, even years in advance. Like when I knew that I was supposed to move here, my spleen spoke first while we were here. And it was like a few years before we moved here. So I don't let the thing is, even though I think my spleen is smarter because I feel like she's just wiser, she's not the final say, because
Right.
the sacral's like, I know what's gonna work the best in the now. Like spleen, you're not, you can give me some advice. The spleen's really good with giving advice, and what they think feels good and what doesn't feel good, right? Because that's what the spleen's here to do. It filters out, it's filtering through the lymphatic system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's filtering out the goo, and then like it presents the leftovers to the sacral. It's like, here, sacral. What
Yeah.
do you like this? Does does this
And
sparkle for you?
it's funny because I don't even have that. So I just have the filtering, and then I'm like,
Well, yours is that is your final say.
yeah, that's it.
But for you, it's
when it does speak, it is meant to be listened to in that moment. For me, because it isn't my final say, I'm not meant to listen to the spleen in the moment. It
Hmm.
needs to like present it to the sacral. It's almost like
Yeah, so interesting.
I am like thinking of like, so it's like I don't know, I just had a mental image here of the sacral, like the queen, and she's like sitting on her throne, and that the spleen is like an advisor, and they're like, "Here, madam, tell me, does this please you? Does this please you?"
And it's like, no, or yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh,
That's funny.
if I only had
That's
time
a
to
good
make it.
example. I feel like that's a good picture though to put in like for somebody to that might have
I
those same
could make a
things.
reel. That would be a good reel. If I only
You
had all the
should.
time in the world to dress in like lavish costumes from like the 18th century. And, you know, I have all that kind of time.
Yeah, okay. All the spare times.
Yeah. So, anyways, this has been all.
I feel like those are all very.
Are you still listening out there?
If you are, thank you. Oh, I was gonna say one thing. So authorities and stuff, you guys can grab our free guide if you
Oh
haven't done that
yeah.
already. So we talk about our strategy and authority in our free guide, free. And then you could go the step next, which is doing all the centers and the language, which is the manual. But I was going to refer back to the Kabbalah stuff. Episode 53, we talk with Josh from the Kabbalah Center. And
Mm-hmm.
if you guys are curious about the Tree of Life,
Yeah.
but we
We
will
go
do.
through it.
I feel like, I mean, you could probably do an episode by yourself on all of that with your knowledge. And I would be here just
Listening.
listening.
I mean, all right, honestly, I would like to do a class on Zoom with this where we all pull out our body graphs and then we all also have a copy of the Kabbalah Tree of Life and we go
Yeah,
through some important parts so that you can really understand what the body graph really means because the
that
body
would be
graph
cool.
is the Kabbalah Tree of Life.
Hmm.
And I feel like nobody fully gets it,
Yeah,
even
it's
the
very
people that
cool.
do get it. But I don't know. There's a lot of things in the works here, guys, and
I have a
talks.
lot of,
And
we have a list of ideas going.
oh, if you ever need an idea, come talk to
Call
Crystal.
Crystal.
Call Crystal. She'll give you, and she'll also tell you if it's a good or a bad idea. So, let's talk about what's going on this week.
Let's go.
So, Monday, it's going to reveal to us a lot of promise of prosperity. There's definitely, I feel like we're leaving full moon Libra, right? And we're coming towards this next chapter. And it's really going to be asking us on Monday, can we recognize our limitations? Which is what we've just been talking about. So it's interesting that we always talk about what's coming into, the matrix, coming into the program. If you're like, why do you call it the program? It's because this is literally, we're in a programming system. We're in the matrix. This is all of this information that's running through us and that we think is us is connected to our mind. And so every week through the transits, we get a new episode. And so we go through what the episode's going to be like. Is it going to be a drama? Is it going to be a comedy? Is it going to be a horror? No, probably not. At least we hope not. Um, so for this week, we're going to be recognizing our limitations towards the beginning now, and also towards the end of last week. So now we are in a new focus that might possibly transform your life. Not to get too ahead of myself. My Sagittarius sun is like, let's look at all the positives here. So there is a potential to transform your life this week because right now, in this exact moment, as you are listening to this, you are being given a time between now and May 10th. Mark this on your calendars, friends. I have a defined G center. I'm bringing you towards this next direction. Okay. So right now, as I speak, through May 10th, we have the opportunity to move. We could really move a lot of bags. We can really move a lot of potential, a lot of um, manifestations basically that have been kind of like sitting and floating in the ethers. This is a time to bring them into reality. This is going to be that time. So to kick things into high gear and also to focus for this week is going to just you're going to be able to allow yourself through this energy. It's going to help you mutate, grow, and expand into the person that you have longed for if you can just allow it, which is the hardest part, is allowing it to happen. It's there's so much surrender that needs to take place with things that we're trying to bring into this material plane. So this time will be about bringing new form into the world, to remember your challenges with an opportunity to overcome them. How can I respond this week that is going to create movement? Can be a question you ask yourself. I invite you this week to detach from any person, place, or experience that is either stirring up sadness inside of you, or even like if you feel overly attached to them, like you feel like, and I'm wanting to talk to my undefined open spleens here. Um, we often associate almost like this codependency with people. And we feel like almost like there are, what are those? What are those like? I'm thinking of those those dogs, those comfort dogs. What are they called again?
I don't know, service dogs?
Yes, a service dog. There's a word. I always lose words on here. Um, yeah, like, where you feel like you
Or
need
like an emotional support animal?
yeah, like where you're feeling yeah, you're feeling like a person or even an animal, is there's too much. Like they're you feel like they're helping you too much. We need to have a little bit more boundaries, which I think is what full moon Libra is what brought to us, is really helping us create boundaries. So if you're on one end where you're like, this person or this thing or a job or whatever is bringing me too much sadness, or if it's bringing me too much attachment, which could feel like something positive, but if I feel like something that's too much of a good thing is not so much of a good thing anymore. I don't want to say bad because I don't think that's true. I just think, sometimes as humans, which gate 15 is the gate of extremes, also love of humanity, sometimes as humans, we go to the extremes, right? So I feel like this week is trying to help you, especially after we've released full moon, Libra, right? It's like really about finding a neutral zone at the beginning of this week. So this might also be the expression of energy this week. It will be interesting to watch almost like the pulse, because there's like a pulse that's going to be running through us at the end of last week and the beginning of this week, a pulse that's running through the collective. So I always like to watch and see what happens with that. So now, what are we being grounded in this week? We are being grounded in our intuitive nature to care for another, to maybe see others in a new light, and to not hold attachment. Again, to not hold attachment to anything or anyone, allowing people to be where they're at and caring for them just the same. Some relationships might have come to a close during full moon Libra, and it's really about just allowing that to be okay. Like Libra, it represents relationships and finding balance and harmony between them. And sometimes it's about cutting cords. So you might have had to cut some cords during full moon Libra. And it might not feel okay for you right now, but you might have cared for this person or even people deeply. This is a week of compassion that's coming from after we had to release and let go. It's about finding compassion of where you're at in your life, and also where others are in theirs. You are not responsible for anyone but yourself. This will be a learning this week to not blindly care for others. this will be a week of where do you want to place your energy? Like, and with who? We're this is the year of relationships, right? Six year lovers card. It's it's going to continually show up, and it's almost like I feel like this year is pushing us to find our people, like really start creating our new community, because that's where we're going, is finding almost like these individualized communities that feel like our truest expression of self and not what society has placed upon us. So Tuesday might be a great day to find a new flow, create some solid routines. There's a little bit of that energy running through. So I'm talking to anyone that's, also we're in spring now, right? So maybe finding some new spring routines for yourself that make you feel good. And Thursday, we gain a new focus on compassion, as I was just talking about. Like I said, this is going to be a week of compassion. So we start off the beginning of the week on the intuitive end, asking us, what do we value about ourselves and each other? And then we end the week with, how can we find compassion for ourselves and another? So it's interesting that it's going from one end to the other. And then what are we being grounded in? Risk taking. I don't like that word. My first line's like, oh no. And knowing what is worth fighting for. There might be feelings coming up towards the end of the week asking you, what's the point? I have this gate. If this happens for you, go deeper. Where in your life are you feeling incomplete? Allow yourself to speak from a place of, I believe. Saturday, there's going to be a quick emotional surge on support and bonding and family. So, can you recognize and support your community on this day? And so, basically, to sum up the entire week, there's a lot of sacral, root, throat, and ajna energy for this week. So, have a little awareness for how that makes you feel, especially if you're open in those centers, because that's where a lot of not self themes are going to come in for you, and have come in for you in the past when you don't even realize. Like, I know when we do go through these emotional surges, or like right now when I'm in an emotional wave because one of my hanging gates is connecting to another hanging gate in the transits. And I cried a lot today. Not gonna lie. There's lots of crying. It always happens on a fifth line day for me with stuff like this. It's like everything just like comes to a head, and it's like the fifth line just like explodes it, so that when it gets to the sixth line, I can like see all the ashes on the ground. So that's what we have going on this week. So there's a lot of good things, a lot of potential, a lot of opportunity, especially at the beginning of this week. So just allow yourself to be the observer. Don't try to make sense of it. And we talked about this in our support group last week. And I said, you know, a lot of times when these transits come in, it's like you think you're going to have things all figured out with them. But what it's doing is it's pushing you to a different way of seeing yourself, so that once that almost like energy is released, that's when the clarity comes in. It's usually not when the gate or channel is in transit. That it's almost like there's a little bit of like fog over it. There's a little bit of pressure in it. And it's really just allowing yourself to watch it, because then you can kind of see what the energy looks like. And sometimes you can jump on the wave. Sometimes you can ride it. It's like I'm learning to ride a lot of these transits. I mean, we decide on things that we're putting out according to the transits. So that's a good way to like gauge how you want to live your life sometimes. I mean, maybe that sounds extreme to you. I don't know. Or if you're listening to it, maybe it doesn't, because you keep coming back every week to learn what they are. So I don't know. I don't know who you are. So just allow yourself to be the witness of your life. That's really what this is supposed to help you, and realize that the mind will try to take you other places because the transits are connected to the mind. So just allow yourself to observe, maybe not try to make sense of it in the moment. Maybe wait until it leaves. And then usually you can kind of, that's when a little bit of the understanding comes in. What are your thoughts?
I I just agree with all of it. I think that's well, I mean, I have to agree with the transits, but you know what I mean. Like it just will be interesting to see how each of those things unfold. I think that what I'm gonna try and do, I need to. I say this and I because I fall out of routine so easy if I don't stick with it, is to actually try and find and like set intentions this weekend for finding a
Mm-hmm.
routine, like especially
Mm-hmm.
with
The full moon.
the full moon, like setting that intention for having some sort of routine because I feel like I live like so chaotically all the time. The only thing that's like consistent is the bus schedule for the kids. And like, but myself, I never have the same thing going on every day or every week. It's
Yeah.
always different.
Well, I feel
And I
like that's
used to
what
be really
Libra's,
good at that.
I feel like that's what Libra's going to kind of
Yeah,
pressure us to do, because it's like releasing all of whatever's out of balance. I think
right.
that's what's going to happen during this full
Yeah.
moon. And we're not in it yet, guys, just so you're aware.
No.
We don't know what's going to
Well,
happen.
while we're recording this, we're not in it, but when
Yes,
you hear it,
I
it's
apologize.
past.
Let me clarify. We are the ones talking in this very moment. We have not entered into the full moon
Yeah,
yet.
at the time of
We
recording.
are in the past, guys.
I was like, wait a minute, are we? Where are we?
We are in the
Yeah.
past. So I think, and you guys can let us know what happened for you. I do miss a little bit of when we used to do the circles on Clubhouse, and everybody would come. I really miss when everybody would come up on stage and
Yeah.
share their intentions or what they're releasing. Those were nice. We might
Well,
have
I
to
just
we,
shared my intentions. Do you have any?
um I feel
You can
like
think on it.
I feel like I have a lot, but for me, I'm really, my biggest thing, honestly, I'm trying to find harmony within my work and home life,
Hmm.
because I really want to be impactful with this information that we're putting out for people. And I really do want to connect to people and help people. Like it's my mission. It
Yeah.
literally is my mission. It's my passion. And I want to have the time and space to do that. But at the same time, I also want to have the time and space to be with my family, which for me is a long work in progress. It's part of my north south node to
Hmm.
find that. And I'm hoping, because my unconscious sun is in Libra, that maybe something magical will happen for me this weekend, because I'm also doing an in-person full moon circle, which I'm sad you're not going to be there for.
I know.
But
I can't wait to hear about it.
yeah, you'll be there in spirit.
I will.
You could always put your little face on my phone and we can prop you up on a piece of wood and you can pretend to be there with us. It's at 9 o'clock.
I'll probably be in bed. Let's be real.
Yeah, I know. It's a little late for you.
Actually, I say that. I've been staying up way too late lately.
Really?
Like, way too late. And then we go to sleep and then we wake up. We're like, we need to go to bed earlier. So that's another part of our intentions. And I think as a couple, like both my husband and I can't seem to go to bed at the right time.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like when you can start your morning with something the same every day and then end your day with something that's the same every day,
mhm.
that's when you can find flow. Just my 515 channel
Yeah.
talking for a second.
Yeah.
That's why I work
It
out
does help
every
though, and I
day.
feel like, especially being a projector, I need a lot of time to wind down. Like if I'm doing stuff actively and then I'm like, I have to go to bed now, I can't fall asleep for a long time.
Yeah.
And then my husband will be snoring next to me within 3 minutes, and it's like fine because he's already worked,
Yeah,
all
he
through
worked
his
out his
energy.
yeah, he well, the sacral is there to release the energy for bed and like for you
Yeah.
guys. Especially, I
Yeah.
feel like projectors and manifestors are a little different with their wind down times, but there needs to be for the non-sacrals that
Yeah.
wind down time. And having like maybe like even like here's a weird one. Maybe not that weird, but it's just like it's so just like mundane is like even having like a lotion or something that you rub
Hmm.
on your hands every night before bed, or like that has like maybe like chamomile in it or something that just like gives you like, and also for like I'm thinking like touch cognition, like having that sensation, and you can kind of like give yourself a little hand massage and be like, okay,
Yeah.
we're winding down, body, we're going to bed here. um
That sounds nice.
and just having like at least one thing, or even if it's like face oils or
Mhm.
something, like you have like your nightly face routine or something. Like I have that I honestly, I sometimes I'm way too tired to do them, but I love doing my gaiache like and roller and just like going over my face with all my oils. And it's whenever I do stuff like that, I feel
Yeah.
like I just feel
That
grounded.
sounds nice.
Yeah. So maybe
I'll
doing
think about all those things. It's a lot of good ideas.
I got all the ideas over here, especially for routines. That's like I actually do reading.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people do follow-up readings with me on like their perfect day. We've talked about that. Like how like in the past. It's been a
Oh
while.
yeah. Yeah.
But
I
like
probably have notes somewhere on that.
yeah, but like how to like orchestrate your perfect day.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be nice if we all had that?
Wouldn't it? I mean, we can work on it. We can get as close to what we think is perfect as possible, like
I
whatever
mean, I
works
feel
for
like I
each
have for
individual.
myself. I'm talking
Yeah.
about just in general, like
Yeah.
for everybody. Like I feel like I've finally started to create that for myself.
Yeah. Everyone deserves a perfect day in their
Oh
own
yeah.
way.
Maybe we could do something with that. I don't know. Everything I'm like, we could do something with that. We could, we'll go swim with sharks. We can do something with that.
Oh, no, thank you.
Just like to throw in random things to like the 50 to 1 comes out and be like,
You're like, hey,
what?
what?
What did she just say?
Okay, so I almost bought another deck of cards today, and I was like, Leah, you don't need any more
Um,
cards. But I almost bought the other Rebecca Campbell deck, which is what is it called? It comes with like a little stand, and like you can do
oh,
like this whole like setup of things. And
um,
I've not been getting any new cards because I do really like all the ones that I have.
yeah.
But I was very close to it.
But I mean,
Very
I feel like
close.
markets, you need to have your selection.
I
Here
mean,
comes the
if you
little,
guys could see the amount of stuff that's on my desk right now, it's everywhere. But sometimes I get like so like I like the tarot deck that I have. I don't even have the box. I don't have the book for. I have nothing. But I know the cards.
Mhm.
So like I like this deck, and I have 3 or 4 other tarot decks that I don't use because I don't know them as well. Like I just
Mhm.
am like
Well, I feel like
familiar
you have
with
an
this one.
attraction to certain
Yeah.
decks, you know?
Yeah. So that's what I mean, I have some other ones I used to pull like 5 or 6 every single day, and I would just go through them.
That is
So
actually,
maybe
speaking of that, I used to pull cards every morning for a
mhm.
very long time. And I don't know what happened. I don't even know when I stopped doing it. But now it's at random now. And I'm like, no, it was like actually said it was either today or yesterday. I said, no, you, I said, you need to start. I think it was yesterday. I pulled the magician on the
Oh,
conjunction with Jupiter and Neptune. So because I wanted to, I was like, we are definitely pulling a card on this day. So I pulled the magician.
interesting.
What are your thoughts on that?
I had the magician as my year of what year did I use it for? 2019, I think. That was like my card of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just really, I feel like he's like super powerful. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
all about like manifestation and like
Mm-hmm.
creation. And so I think that's a really good card for that. Like I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of powerful
And
energy
bringing,
behind it.
yeah, it's like, I felt
Yeah.
like they were trying to tell me like bringing stuff into form now. Like their
Yeah.
movements are really about to happen for me. And then I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay. Can you
Ah,
give can you give me a little bit more information and support maybe? That would be
yeah.
great.
You could pull more cards. I mean, you could have pulled
I
more
did.
cards.
Then I pulled the 3 of discs, but
Is
uh,
that pentacles? Discs or the pentacles? Yeah. Sometimes
yeah.
they say different. They
Oh
have
yeah.
two
So
different
they
ones.
yeah, they use discs instead of
Yeah.
pentacles.
No, it's okay.
And
That's a
it,
strong card too.
but it was upside down.
Mm.
So what are your thoughts about that?
So I am not like, I will be honest, I'm
Yeah.
not like the most familiar with reverse cards. But I feel like that one would be more, it's more like looking within, I think. But I think that some people interpret it in different ways. I guess I could look at my book.
Because it's like really powerful when it's like,
Disharmony,
yeah. Oh, word
unalignment.
disorganization.
Mhm. Or
Which
something is complete. Like three, but three is like, that's a powerful number because three,
yeah.
like a triangle, is the most strong. But if you're looking toward your, like, if you're looking toward your, what's being done, what's complete.
I just feel like they were trying to say like I need to get more organized with the movement that I'm trying to make, which
Yeah.
is what I do have challenges with is
Yeah.
organization because I'm an open head and Ajna and I'm just like, woo, like somebody bring me back down.
So you think more, uh, so the magician came up to manifest what you want to bring toward you,
Mm-hmm.
and then clarity would be, how do I remove any roadblocks? How do I remove things that aren't serving me? Or maybe whatever disharmony is coming up, whether that
Mm-hmm.
be stuff that's like junking up the wheel
Mm-hmm.
or like people that are getting in the way,
Mm-hmm.
situations, mindset, all of that stuff could be that stuff
All of
that's
it.
like a disharmony.
Literally everything you just said.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, you can't remove your family from it, but we could remove like mindset. We could remove limiting beliefs
yeah.
or stuff that
And like
like
being more
is taking
organized
too
with my
long.
time, which is
Yeah.
what sometimes I trip up on, but
Mm-hmm.
also respecting when I'm not, because I feel like as an open throat, like if I'm not able to like speak or even like write, because writing comes from the throat too, right?
Yeah.
And so if I'm not able, like when we create these classes, I'll tell you some days I'm like, I can't,
Yeah.
like I've got nothing to put out there right now because
Yeah.
I'm cooked.
Yeah, you can't, and you can't force that kind of thing either. You can't be like, well, I told myself I was going to do things for 2 hours long. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
burnout. That's
Yeah,
exactly what
I
will
used to do
happen.
that.
And then you will resent every bit of it. And you can tell in your work when
Right.
things aren't working.
Right. I say to myself as a generator, and I invite all generators to ask themselves this question literally throughout your entire day. Am I having fun?
Mm-hmm. So
That's it.
important.
So such a simple question to ask yourself. You'll get an immediate response from your sacral.
Yeah.
If you want to be like, hey,
Am
like,
I having fun? Fuck no.
yeah, how many times have I said that? Or like I feel like when I get too serious about things,
Mm-hmm.
I lose the joy.
Yeah.
So I know we've been talking a lot here. I apologize.
I was just looking, I was like, oh, that we got a little long. Okay, well,
Yeah,
let me pull these
this one's
cards
going to be a
and
little
then
bit
we
of a
can.
longer one.
Well, welcome to our conversation. We haven't talked all day, guys. We have stuff to talk about. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna do one from the tarot deck, and then I'm gonna pull one from it's not a brand new one, it's just new for here for this because I've been pulling other ones so much. Did I pull this one last week? No. 7. Okay, so I get 7 of Pentacles or 7 of Discs, whoever wants to say one or the other. This one are Pentacles. So this one is actually about reaping your rewards. For anyone on YouTube, you'll see the person is looking down at his crop. So you could consider that like, I don't know, grapes or your whatever seeds you've planted. So now that we're past the full moon, when you hear this, think about the seeds that you're planting. Are you planting intentions that are for you, that you want to flourish? Are you planting seeds that you're going to water and pay attention to, or are you going to plant things and walk away and let it dry up? Are you going to water the things that you want to come to fruition, or are you going to water things that you don't want to come to fruition? Like, it depends on how much focus we put on each individual thing. It's really easy to focus on the negative, or it's easy to focus on the lack thereof. But if we're watering and we're putting I keep saying watering because it's like, that's the image that I'm getting, is this a gardener. But if you're putting effort and intention behind things that you want to bring into this life, then you're going to find those things. And that's the same for like abundance. Like, the more we pay attention to the abundance we have around us, the more we're able to see, and the less we see the lack thereof. So that's a pretty cool. Maybe something you could think about this week is like, what seeds am I planting? Am I putting in the effort to the things that I want to bring into my life? Or am I putting intention and effort into things that I don't want? And how can you remove the weeds and take out the things that no longer serve you anymore? It seems to be kind of like a theme. Okay, so I will show you guys the picture of this one. This one's called the Oracle of E, and these ones are pretty fun. These are, I guess they're oracle cards, and they call it a guidebook to manifesting your dreams. So I'll just pull one. This is kind of the same as the other one, where I'll pull a card and read from the book. But these ones are pretty fun. Okay, so this one's called Free Fallen. That sounds fun.
Hey, literally, my guide said that to me yesterday when I opened the records.
Really? Oh, they did. I read that.
Isn't that
Whoa.
crazy? That's crazy. They also told me free balling, and I was like, I said, really? And I said, I literally responded, really? They're like, yes.
Yeah.
They're like, you're like, they told me I'm going to be coming into some money.
I love it.
And I'm like, okay, but sorry, continue. That was just, I mean, generator, right?
Yeah.
Give me something to respond to. Okay.
That's amazing. So this is really short, but it says, it doesn't get much better than this. Deep, radical trust that appearances mean nothing and that you and only you are the captain of your ship. What you say goes. You are in unrestrained motion and unseen forces are awaiting your command. So I feel like that's pretty accurate. I also wanted to, let me do one more. I can do one more. I can do as many as I want. Okay, so these are actually
going to be a 5-hour long episode. So
I want to do an affirmation.
We have 3 more hours to go.
3 more. You know I will not talk for that long. That's impossible. This is an affirmation deck, actually, from a workout program I used to do. And let me just pull a random one. Ready? Go. I am limitless. It's really pretty, though. I remove my self-inflicted boundaries and to reach my fullest potential. So see, that card wanted to be pulled. It said, pull me. Free fallen. All the things. Now I have cards everywhere, all over my desk.
I feel like that's basically the energy that I was talking about earlier. And
totally.
That this is really the time of your greatest potential is between now, as I speak, and May 10th. So do all the things that you've been holding off on. Now is the time to strike. If you want more information, we do have it in our energy forecast for the year. We talk about the best times to work, the best times to rest, times to move, times to create. It's all in there because we, like I said, we could ride this energy. We have potential to tap into it if you really can see it. It's almost like you have to be able to envision where the gateway is to like get in, like it's like I think of like the monorail at Disney. This is like the image that I'm getting right now, the monorail. Anyone's been to Disney World? I used to live in Florida, so I'm from Florida. Shout out to all my Florida peeps. What? No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, so it's like riding that monorail, or like the monorail is always going, right? Does that thing ever stop?
I don't think so.
It runs 24 hours a day. So it's like that like ride's always going. So it's like knowing when the peak time to jump on. And right now, for really creating some really big things in your life, it's going to be right now.
Hop on.
We're about to go into eclipse season. This is when we get to quantum leap. If you'll, I advise you to pay attention to when the eclipses are happening and what's going on in the collective.
Major stuff. It's really.
So, not to give you like, any, I almost wanted to say like false hope, but there's just so much potential. It depends on where you set your limitations, right? We talked about that at the beginning about limitations, and then Leopold Descartes on being limitless. So allow yourself during this time to be limitless. Okay, be what's his face in that show that he was in, or wait, no, it was a movie that was then turned into a show.
I love that movie.
Yeah, take
Bradley
the pill.
Cooper.
Bradley Cooper. Be Bradley Cooper. Who doesn't want to be him? He's hot tamale. If you made it this far, thank you. We have no idea how long this has gone on for at this point. So thank you for being here.
Go be limitless.
Go be limitless. Share this with a friend. Tag us. Let us know how you're being limitless. And we will see you on the next one. Bye. Bye. Wave into the YouTubers.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Crystal and I are really here as defined hearts to provide value to you with our unique insights. If you have found any of this episode valuable to you, we ask that you share with a friend, tag us with a highlight on Instagram, and write us a review so we can reach more people. Human design and astrology are tools to guide us toward our transformation. You are a unique and beautiful being, and we encourage you to let that light inside of you shine bright. See you in the next episode, friends.